Good morning, colleagues. May I please ask the colleagues from the Electoral Commission of South Africa to help people from outside and ask them, lead them into the room so that they can take their seats so that we can begin on time. Are you going to the side? Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to need a better bed music in that I need to move the lady from the side of the stage to the other side of the stage.
Not a problem.
All right.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, your housekeeping rules. MK is busy with them. I'll bring them to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me show you my dear water. And then do you check the I started with them there. Okay.
Leluvo. Ladies and gentlemen, if we may please be seated so that we can begin. I will introduce myself first, as I normally don't remember to do so. My name is Nomsa Masugu. I am one of the 5 commissioners of the Electoral Commission of South Africa. My job today is to help you navigate the proceedings of the day. I will begin with, first of all, a few housekeeping announcements, and then I will try and explain the proceedings of the day for those that are not familiar with the AG of AWEB. So we have interpretation at the back, and the channels are as follows. We've got English on channel 1, we've got French on channel 2, we've got Spanish on channel 4, we've got Arabic on channel 6, we've got Portuguese on channel 5, and we've got the Russian on channel 3. If you need Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi password is, no it's not, it was. To log on to Wi-Fi, it's AWEB in caps, AWEB 2022. There's no spacing between that, and you repeat that for your password. Today's proceedings, excuse me. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat, so occasionally I will clear the frog. I apologize. The annual General Assembly of AWEB is a very structured occasion, and it follows a very set structure. Today's proceedings are divided into 2. During the first part of today, this morning until lunchtime, will be the ceremony, excuse me, my frog. It's the ceremonial part of the day. So you will see a lot of ceremonies, and that is what I'm going to take you through. The actual meeting of the General Assembly is going to take place after lunch. The people that are sitting in front are members of AWEB, and the rest of the guests are sitting towards the back of the room. Thank you, sir. Thank you, CEO. It's a very determined frog I've got in my throat. Right now, we await one guest, a couple of guests to join the front part, so you can settle in and see if your Wi-Fi is working and all those kinds of things. And I will cue you as soon as we are ready to begin the program. Thank you very much. I know that I will have no problems at all. You will cooperate as you always do. Thank you very much. I did forget something very, very important. The bathrooms, the rooms of convenience, you have to go outside the venue. You turn to my right, your left, and find the bathrooms, but there's plenty of help. If you need help, it's the people in the green that are going to help you. The program, I believe, is on is on your table. I will follow it as strictly as possible, to the extent that is possible. If I have to be creative, I will be creative. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Let us begin. Let me first explain who is sitting in front of you. I will do so sequentially as they are sitting. On my immediate left, to your right, is the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Janet Love. Sitting next to her is the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Msutu Miepia. On his right is the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs in South Africa, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. On his left is the Honorable Chief Election Head of the Commission of India, who is the current chairperson of AWEB, Honorable Rajiv Kumar. On his left is the Director General of the AWEB Secretariat, Mr. Jaewon Kim. On his right is Ms. Rita Lee, who is the advisor and the interpreter who is assisting Mr. Kim. At this point in time, I will ask us to rise so that we can receive the national anthem of South Africa. Thank you very much. You may be seated. May I please invite the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Janet Love, to deliver the opening remarks, please.
Good morning, everybody. Director of Ceremonies, Dr. Nomsa Masuku, Chairperson of the Association of World Election Bodies, the Honorable Shri Rajiv Kumar, all the members of the AWEB Executive, the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, Msutu Moyepia, Honorable Minister Motsoaledi, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, members of Parliament here present, and representatives of political parties and the diplomatic corps, representatives of the United Nations agencies and other development partners, and representatives of the Continental Electoral Management Fora, representatives of all the election management bodies present, and representatives of the electoral assistance agencies, civil society, the media, excellencies and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here as a proud South African and a citizen of Africa to welcome you to the continent that has given so much to the world and to humanity. I welcome you to the continent of Zera Yaqub, the great Ethiopian priest who recognized the need, I've got her frog, who recognized the need to distinguish truth from lies, who recognized the importance that truth has to underpin ethical behavior. Together with René Descartes, he inspired a philosophical outlook that valued reason, that valued humanity and human inquiry. So we welcome you to the continent, not only of Zera Yaqub, but to the legendary Somali traders who as early as the 17th and 18th centuries did business with far-flung areas, including China. Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to feel at home in our continent. It's a continent of heroic African warrior queens, like the Queen Yaa Asantewa of the Asante Kingdom of Ghana, like the Queen Amina of Azaria in Nigeria, like Queen Kadake, the Empress of Ethiopia and Nefertiti, and the Queen of Egypt's ancient Kemet. To this day, these amazing African queens inspire not only our national but also our continental pride. It is a continent where the descendants of former slaves, like Liberia's Edward Blyden, returned to Africa and inspired not only Pan-Africanism, but also deeply influenced leaders like Marcus Garvey. Blyden's statement, I quote, "If you are not yourself, if you surrender your personality, you have nothing left to give to the world," unquote. It is as true today as it was when Blyden made it. But friends, Africa is also home to magnificent galleries and theaters, where African art and dance have taken first steps before making huge impact on the world. And this is very true of this beautiful city, also of Cape Town. So on behalf of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, I extend a warm African welcome to all of you delegates of this important 5th General Assembly of the Association of World Election Bodies. Our meeting takes place within the embrace of Table Mountain at a very important time in history. It is a time when democracy is under threat across all continents of the world. Not only is Europe caught in the grip of war, but the foundation and pillars of some of the world's oldest democracies have been shaken and tested. how can we not take note of the January 6, 2021 events at Capitol Hill in the USA? And in our own continent, the resurgence of military takeovers from democratically elected governments in parts of Africa threatens to smother the growth of electoral democracy. So this is why the theme of this 5th General Assembly and International Conference, the theme Safeguarding Electoral Management Bodies in the Age of Global Democratic Recession, is so important. We need to emerge from Cape Town, as I believe we will, with purposeful decisions that will contribute to the collective efforts from within all countries that are there to resist any democratic recession, to advance accountability in all of our countries, and to enhance the informed participation by citizens in creating a better world for all. I welcome you all here and trust that we will have a very important few days ahead of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson. Allow me at this point in time to invite the Honorable Rajiv Kumar, the current chairperson of AWEB, to come to where I am standing to perform a very important task, which I will not spoil by explaining right now. Thank you.
His Excellency, Minister of Home Affairs of South Africa, Motse Awaledi, His Excellency, Mr. Mosotho Moepa, Chairperson, Electoral Commission of South Africa, Vice Chairperson of AWEB, and fellow Vice Chairpersons, Commissioners of present here and of South Africa. Honorable Chairpersons, Presidents, Commissioners, and senior delegates from member election management bodies and partner organizations of AWEB from Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. Distinguished guests, officials from AWEB Secretariat, my colleagues from ECI, ladies and gentlemen, friends from media. Very good morning to all of you. And a big namaste from India. It's a matter of great privilege and honor for me to join you all in this magnificent city of Cape Town at the opening ceremony of the 5th General Assembly of the Association of World Election Bodies, AWEB. This is my first visit to this beautiful country and to see at first hand the great strides made by South Africa in every field. I would like to thank Honorable Minister of Home Affairs for gracing us with this glorious presence today. India's relationship with South Africa is perennial, fundamental, and unique, as it is rooted in collective experience and cumulative strength of both our people, who emerged victorious from the historic struggles against colonialism and racial discrimination, and have succeeded in their march to democracy against very heavy odds. There were some momentous journeys that are defining moments in the histories of our two nations. The journey of Indians as they settled in South Africa since 1860s. The life-changing train journey of the father of our nation, young Mohanchand Karamchand Gandhi, father of our nation, on June 7, 1893. And the journey of the great leader Nelson Mandela to India in 1990. His first visit abroad after 27 years in imprisonment. For me, this visit is nothing sort of a pilgrimage, and I feel very emotionally and spiritually elated to be here in the land of Madiba and Mahatma, both great leaders who held similar views on democracy. Cape Town is perhaps the most conducive place for a positive discourse of a co-shared commitment of all stakeholders of electoral democracy. South Africa itself is a beacon for young democracies world over as to how electoral democracies help channelize disparities, cultural diversities in a constructive manner. It validates our belief that democratic methods of which free, fair, transparent and inclusive elections are a cornerstone is a precondition to the peace dividends which follow resolution of conflict and strife in a country and in the region. We are always reminded of fundamental precepts that Mahatma Gandhi said, and I quote, "My notion of democracy is that under it, the weakest shall have the same opportunities as the strongest," unquote. Excellencies, both India and South Africa are the founding members of this apex organization. We have always visualized AWEB as a powerful cementing institution that brings EMBs across the world together for a very fruitful discussion. Your Excellencies, allow me to briefly walk through the remarkable role AWEB as a group has played. Despite wide disparities and differences in our respective constitutional systems and regulatory regimes that governs us, by continuous consultation, we have been able to not only map the emerging challenges ranging from non-inclusivity, social media, technology, false narratives, voter apathy, lack of resources, and even legislative regulatory regime inadequacies, but have shared our experiences and responded resolutely to the challenges. The COVID challenge, in fact, can be said to be such a major moment where learning from each other, we ensured that the electoral process run smoothly. We proved that disfranchising even temporarily is not an option. That is, what challenges handled under India's chair of AWEB is an added point of satisfaction. More than 500 international trainees benefited by way of AWEB webinars when the elections were conducted during the COVID. Elections are the cornerstones of the democratic polity. Elections shape up the will of the people that constitutes the base of political authority for any democratic government. These threshold concepts embody the understanding that sovereignty belongs to and flow from people of the country. We pay at this moment the homage to the great men and remind ourselves in gratitude who have nurtured the democracy. At this juncture, I am reminded of what great leader of all times, Nelson Mandela, spoke of equity, equality of opportunity in democracy. I quote, "Democratic and free society in which all persons live in harmony and with equal opportunities, it is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if need be, an ideal for which I am prepared to die." That is the spirit which we need now for the democracies in view of the challenges which were just mentioned before me also by the Vice Chair. Friends, democracies across the world have shaped up their constitutional, legislative, and legal framework for inclusive and accessible elections. EMBs of different countries, with a view to fulfill the mandate for inclusive and accessible elections, have evolved their operational framework, strategies, and action plans to identify and obliterate barriers, facilitate and maximize the participation of all categories of voters. I am also reminded of what Martin Luther King once said: "If democracy has to have breadth of meaning, it is necessary to adjust inequalities." Friends, adjusting inequalities in today's context means inclusive and accessible elections at every level, starting from enrollment to the polling, and especially for women, persons with disabilities, senior citizens, young voters, and marginalized voters besides our other special groups. If we continue to take care of these groups and make them participate in the democratic process, I'm sure the challenges which we face will automatically get answered to. At this stage, please allow me to briefly touch upon the challenges which all of us are facing. Today, democracy and the EMBs face challenges both around the globe and at home. Challenges emanating from overcoming polarizations, populism and its consequences, economic inequality, immigration, challenges of sustaining multi-ethnic democracies, alleged backsliding of democracy, democratic discontent, and all of these have become a matter of great debate. A series of dialogues are in process, and the agenda from afternoon in this assembly also, I'm sure, would very meaningfully concentrate on this. The pressures from within involve the regulation of political parties, regulating political finance, controlling use of money power, and adequacy of legal and legislative instruments for enforcing codes of conduct, ethical behavior during election. Excellencies, leveraging of social media for voter connect has been a very positive feature. But at the same time, misuse of social media platforms for disinformation is a real challenge before the EMBs across the world. Technological integration has progressively enhanced efficiency, efficacy, transparency, and integrity of electoral process, but a lot more needs to be done, and we need to learn from each other's experiences in this field. ECI is leading a cohort on electoral integrity, and the first thematic international conference on empowerment of EMBs is going to be held very shortly. The AWEB has tremendous potential to address the challenges I have just summarized and many more through knowledge sharing and on regular basis in a structured manner. Simultaneously, we need to revisit the parameters for assessment of democratic indices being used by certain international organizations. Delivering judgments on election process of a country through ratings against unilaterally devised and unvalidated parameters often tend to cause more harm to the cause of democracy in the respective countries. Friends, electoral management designs vary country by country. No two approaches to electoral management are alike. EMBs across different countries possess varying degrees of autonomy from government, expense of remit and powers. Notwithstanding the design, the EMBs have to demonstrate neutrality, impartiality, and ensure the essential aspects of free, fair, inclusive, accessible, and ethical participation. Sanctity of elections and purity of election process is perhaps the only answer to whatever challenges we are facing today in terms of the declining democracies. So far, we are able to deliver the free elections and to find the true expression of the will of the people in the franchise. I think democracies would continue to perform well. Therefore, independent functioning of EMBs with full empowerment is critical to free and fair elections. And it is essential that EMBs are equipped and empowered to handle unforeseen situations through provisions for plenary power. Peace, dialogue, participation, and true expression of collective will of people is a hallmark of democracy and shall always be an effective and inclusive form of governance to meet the aspirations of citizens. Friends, we need to come out with standard protocols, benchmarks for various aspects of election management, which may be known as AWEB global standards, and will help EMBs to work towards achieving these goals by, say, what should be the infrastructure at the polling station, what should be the accessibility initiatives, how do we increase the participation of women, PWD, senior citizens, marginalized communities, tackle various malpractices, control election-related expenditure, increase transparency, security, tackle misinformation. If we develop all these benchmarks, they could be known as AWeb benchmarks, and each country, each EMB may in its own way attempt to achieve that. Friends, with these opening remarks, I hereby declare the opening of the 5th General Assembly of the AWeb. I congratulate and welcome my extremely experienced colleague, His Excellency Mr. Mosotho Moepa, Chairperson, Electoral Commission of South Africa, as incoming chair of AWeb, and thank him and his colleagues for organizing this meeting. Excellent arrangements made for our visit and the warm hospitality, making the delegations feel comfortable at home in South Africa. We convey our good wishes to Honorable Chairperson, Electoral Commission of South Africa, and fellow commissioners for all the success in their new assignment and the endeavor to further promote and enhance the activities of the association. I commit ECI's full and unequivocal support in further fostering the vision and mission of AWeb and in extending close and full cooperation to the EC of South Africa and other members of the EMBs. Whatever is left to be done and whatever you decide in the afternoon and later, we would all be willing to contribute in terms of the manpower, in terms of the technology, in terms of hosting any event, whatever the AWeb and the Secretariat you collectively decide. I would like to end by quoting the famous lines by Robert Frost. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. I wish all the very best to all the EMBs, AWeb, for the very fruitful deliberations now onwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Rajiv Kumar. The 5th Annual General Meeting of the AWeb has been officially declared. Could you please affirm that with another round of applause? That's better. May I please ask that the Honorable Rajiv Kumar please proceed to the left-hand side where the symbolic action of the change of the chairpersonship of AWeb proceeds. Gentlemen, may I ask you to take your positions on the left-hand side? Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to hold it a little bit, just to make sure that the cameras are there. Have you got your shot, everyone? Yes, you have. The chairpersonship of AWeb has officially moved from India to South Africa. Close, please. Thank you very much. At this point in time, may I please invite the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, the new chair of AWeb, to come and take my place here and make his acceptance remarks. Welcome, Chairperson.
Director of Ceremonies and colleague, Dr. Nomsa Masuku, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, in absentia, Honorable Rajiv Kumar, the outgoing chairperson of the Association of World Election Bodies, Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, members of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, represented by our chairperson, Mr. Musa Chabane, members of the AWEP executive, fellow commissioners, representatives of political parties, members of the diplomatic corps, representatives of the United Nations agencies and other development partners, representatives of the continental election management bodies and fora, representatives of the election management bodies across the world, representatives of civil society organizations here and those that are connected to us right now, members of the media, friends, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, I accept with great humility the responsibility bestowed on us and the African continent by the AWEP family to act as chairperson for the next 2 years. Please permit me to acknowledge the outgoing chairperson of AWEP, the Chief Election Commission of India, for the sterling work and able leadership during their tenure, which was punctuated by the devastating COVID-19 global pandemic. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Electoral Commission of South Africa accepts this responsibility, mindful of the challenges that lie ahead. We therefore count on the usual support of the government and the people of the Republic of South Africa, the entire AWEP membership, as well as cooperating partners to carry the AWEP vision forward. We foresee a prosperous AWEP. We believe that every one of us are mindful of these challenges that we all have to embrace. And we pray that even as we deal with this responsibility, we are strengthened and can count on you for collaboration. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Miepa, Chairperson times 2. At this point in time, he does have quite a team to cheer him on, as you can see, as you can hear. At this point in time, allow me to please, first of all, acknowledge the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs in South Africa, the Honorable Mr. Musa Chabane, who is in our midst today. And as I acknowledge him, may I please invite the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, to come to the podium and make his remarks. Thank you.
Director of Ceremonies and Commissioner of the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa, Dr. Nomsa Masuku, the outgoing chairperson of the Association of World Election Bodies, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission in South Africa, Mr. Mosotho Moepya, and members of the Electoral Commission, members of AWEP Executive Board, chairpersons of electoral management bodies and newly elected Secretary General of AWEB, Mr. Tang, let me also take this opportunity to recognize the presence in this event of members of Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, led by the Honorable Musa Chaban, who is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, a body that pays political oversight to the Electoral Commission in South Africa. Members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure and singular honor to welcome the delegates from all over the world to the Association of Election Bodies, AWEB, 5th General Assembly, an international conference. It is with great pride that these events are hosted by our Electoral Commission and on our shores. I have noted that this is the first time that the AWEB General Assembly is held on the African continent. The timing for the hosting of this event on the African soil and the choice of its theme is also relevant and opposite, as our continent too has seen its fair share of episodes of democratic recession and unconstitutional changes of government with far-reaching consequences for electoral democracy. Allow me to take this opportunity on behalf of our government and indeed the people of South Africa to extend our gratitude to AWEB for its sterling work in striving for the realization of the noble vision of enhancing capacity to enable the building of election management bodies to advance inclusive, participatory, and transparent electoral processes around the world. We laud this commitment, for without it, electoral democracy in the world will be greatly weakened. The theme of this AWEB General Assembly, which is open quotes, safeguarding electoral management bodies in the age of global democratic recession, close quote, is as relevant and as it is timely. This is so because a number of democracies in the world are confronted with the need to find solutions to the challenges of democratic recession. I've been informed that the objective of the conference, which will happen here tomorrow, to discuss the elements of democratic recession and how to address these threats. These specific objectives of conference include: number one, to provide a platform for dialogue on democracy and elections among EMBs and key stakeholders, highlighting challenges and opportunities. Two, to critically discuss the external vulnerabilities of EMBs in the face of deteriorating democratic practice and to find innovative ways to safeguard standards. And number three, to better understand the erosion of confidence reflected in declining participation in elections, including challenges of participatory governance and accountability. 4, to explore additional constructive mechanisms that complement what already exists through various EMBs in partnership with other entities when dealing with challenges of disinformation, given that disinformation contributes significantly to democratic recession. 5, to review the interventions taken by the global, continental, and intergovernmental institutions in addressing democratic recession and propose improvements to ensure a resilient electoral democracy. And number 6, to propose measures by the international development partners and donors, academia, non-governmental organizations, the media and think tanks to assist EMBs in dealing with the impact of democratic recession. Number 7, to find ways to enhance operational capacity pertaining to election management and administration, leadership, and inter-organizational coordination and planning skills of electoral management bodies in emerging democracies and post-conflict countries. Number 8, to widely disseminate the conference proceedings and resolutions for a more significant conference impact. It is evident that over the next few days, you will discuss and identify how to systematically and proactively deal with challenges of democratic recession. You'll also explore innovative ways of ensuring that leadership, coordination and planning of election management bodies are enhanced to withstand the vagaries of democratic recession in current times. I would like to encourage you to also pay attention to the equally important need to ensure that election management bodies' delivery of elections is not merely for the sake of constitutional compliance, but rather that elections should be seen as a means of ensuring durable peace, stability, consolidated democracy, and sustainable human development in the world. This General Assembly and the international conference that will take place tomorrow are therefore charged with an important international task of finding solutions to democratic backsliding. We need to put in all efforts to ensure, we need to put in all efforts to measure up to these strategic challenges of our times. Director of Ceremonies, there is no doubt in my mind that this 5th EWEP General Assembly and International Conference builds upon the foundation that the EWEP has already put in place in its nearly 10 years of existence. In the last decade, many nations, including regional and economic powers, have been confronted with the challenges of protracted violent conflicts and political instability, of assault on democratic institutions and constitutionalism. According to the Global State of Democracy report of 2021, more than 70% of the global population now live either in a non-democratic regime or democracy backsliding countries. This is a matter of overriding concern. The lack of urgent and effective measures to reverse the trend of democratic recession accentuates existing uneven socio-economic development and makes the realization of Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, a distant mirage. It is out of these countries that one must place hope in fora such as the one you are holding here in Cape Town. Judging by the goal and objectives of the international conference, you have a Herculean task ahead of you over the next 2 days. However, considering the diverse talents gathered at this event from the various corners of the world, we are optimistic that effective solutions are within the realms of possibility. It is my fervent belief that the commitment of all the key stakeholders, including political parties and election management bodies, through putting the interest of citizens uppermost, will be able to thwart the trends of democratic recession. In this way, not only will peace be realized and electoral democracy deepened, but citizens' trust and confidence in democracy as a viable system of governance will be reinforced. Program Director, our Electoral Commission also assumes the leadership of EWEP at this General Assembly. The honor of leading this august body invariably places a significant responsibility on South Africa. As government, we urge the Electoral Commission to work collaboratively with the Executive Committee members while at the same time working to implement resolutions of EWEP General Assembly. I wish you well and assure you of the support of the government of the Republic of South Africa as you undertake this huge responsibility. With these few remarks, it gives me great pleasure to declare this 5th EWEP General Assembly and International Conference under the theme, Safeguarding Election Management Bodies in the Age of Global Democratic Recession, officially open. I wish you fruitful deliberations that will encourage appropriate measures for strengthening election management bodies around the world. Lastly, I hope it will be possible for delegates to be exposed to the beauty of South Africa that our country has to offer by way of tourist attraction. We believe it's standard that when people visit South Africa, they will also go to Table Mountain. But we also invite you, a stone's throw from here is Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela spent 27 years of his life fighting for democracy to flourish. And I believe the symbolism of this event will be such that people are able to see what the island is all about. That's where South African democracy was born. May God bless you all. But before sitting down, let me take this opportunity to allow the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency, President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, to address you He very much wished to be here today, considering the importance of this event. However, other issues of the state called for his attention, but the President is going to be greeting you through a pre-recorded message, just to show his support, that he's here with you in spirit. Honorable President, please, the floor is yours.
Former President Thabo Mbeki, outgoing chairperson of the Association of World Election Bodies, the Election Commission of India, represented by Mr. Rajiv Kumar, incoming chair of the association, the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa, represented by Mr. Mosotho Moepwa, delegates, guests, ladies and gentlemen, Sanbonani, welcome to South Africa. It is our singular honor to host the 5th General Assembly and International Conference of the Association of World Election Bodies for the first time on the African continent. We are honored that South Africa will assume the chairship of the association at this conference. We congratulate the organization for its work to strengthen election management bodies across the world in pursuit of electoral processes that are inclusive, participatory, and transparent. In recent times, we have witnessed several instances of unconstitutional changes of government and an erosion of democratic practices around the world. This General Assembly will be deliberating on these threats to democracy and how to overcome them. This General Assembly is a vital platform for dialogue on elections between peer organizations from across the globe. It is an opportunity to advance participatory democracy and accountability. In an age where the threats to consolidating democracy are multiple and varied, it is encouraging that the General Assembly will be looking, among other things, at how disinformation spread online can undermine democratic processes. Building democracies that are resilient and sustainable is a collaborative effort. And this assembly brings together electoral bodies, development partners, civil society, the media, and many other stakeholders. By enhancing the operational capacity of electoral bodies through coordination, through training, skilling, and effective leadership, we can take forward democratic gains in both established and emerging democracies, as well as in post-conflict societies. We need to work together to meet this critical challenge of our time. As South Africa assumes the chairship of the association, we once more pledge our support for the Independent Electoral Commission in this challenging and important endeavor. I wish you all a very fruitful assembly and deliberations. I thank you.
Mr. Minister Motsoaledi, thank you very much. Mr. President, in your absence, thank you very much. In your absence, but also in your presence, we thank you very much for your remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to a moment in the program when the ceremonial part of the program concludes, we are going to allow the people that are sitting at the top to please leave us and go to a room where you'll be directed for a press briefing. And for the rest of us, we will remain behind just for a short time, and then we will break for tea, and we will reconvene at the time that is indicated on the program. Please don't stray very far. I know that it's a very big building. Please don't stray very far. We will reconvene at the latest at 1:10. If not, if it is possible, we will move the program a little bit earlier so that the afternoon session can begin. In other words, the meeting per se can conclude earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, as we always do in South Africa, to give yourself a huge round of applause to mark the end of this. To the honorable guests at the top, may I ask you to take your leave, please. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very kindly for allowing this moment for the top table to take their leave. At this time, you're free for a moment to stretch your legs a little bit, and we will see you very shortly. Take a bit of a stretch. You can go to wherever you can to refresh yourself, and we will reconvene so that we stay on top of the program. In terms of time, I've got two of the commissioners who are insisting. You know, when you run elections, you know how it is. You've got to be very exact in terms of time. May I say this to you? We are going to a press briefing right now. We will convene at the very latest. We ought to be seated by 1 o'clock back in this room. If anything changes, we will come and fetch you. Have a great break. See you soon.
you.